Okay, you guys, we're going to do some geometry. The good news is that our geometry chapter that we're working on right now is just formulas for area of shapes like rectangles, parallelograms, triangles, trapezoids. So it's not super crazy like trigonometry, and it will be easier for us to do it this way than some chapters. So that's good news. So I think we should just get started. 10.1, page 677. Let's do it. All right. So page 677, 10.1, formulas for area. So the first one is a parallelogram. Remember, a parallelogram is just a smashed rectangle. So looks like this. Now, does anybody remember how to find the area of a rectangle? I didn't hear you. Can you talk louder? Oh, base times height. So base times height is to do a rectangle. So the great news is parallelograms are the same thing, base times height, but there's a trick. Base times height. Well, this little slanty thing right here is not actually the height of this parallelogram. It's just a side on the parallelogram. You're supposed to use in base times height when you do parallelograms, you have to use the actual height of the shape. So lots of times they'll draw a triangle or something next to it so we can see what the actual height of the shape is, because we can use the base, we know how long that is, but I have to use actually how high it is from here to here, okay? So I'll need to use that actual height in my formula. I'm just realizing that my shapes are kind of all like diving to the right. Do I always do that? It's very strange. Okay, sorry. So base times height. So let's try example number 1A. Find the area of the parallelogram, and they told me that this was 6. Here, I'll erase this. 6. This was a mystery number. This is 5, and this is 3. Okay. Is 5 the actual height of the parallelogram? No, it's just the length of that side, right? We could find the actual height, maybe, because we have a little right triangle right here that they so helpfully gave us. And that's why they told me that this was 3 right here. Does anybody know how to find this missing side of this right triangle? Pythagorean theorem, right? So go ahead and plug this into your calculator right now. Go ahead and do Pythagorean theorem. And you should get 4, because 3, 4, 5 is a Pythagorean triple. All right, so now we know the height is 4. So we can just do base 6 times height 4, which is 24. And we're going to label it, I think it was inches squared. Area is always labeled with this little square to show us that we're talking about area. It's just part of the label. It's not any mathing thing that we have to do. It's just a way to label the inches so we know we're talking about area. And our total was 24. Okay, base times height. All right, let's move on. Okay, let's go to example 1, letter B, which is on the next page, 678. As we're used to in this book, lots of times they give us one part and then the answer, and we have to work backwards to find the missing part, and that's what example 1B is all about. We know the height of a rectangle. We need to know the height, we need to know the height of the rectangle, and we know that the base is 5, and we know the total area is 5x squared minus 5x. Okay, so these are the ones where you'd go ahead and take your formula. Area is base times height for a rectangle, and we're going to plug in the things that we know. So I know the base is 5, so I'm going to replace that with a 5. And I know the actual entire area is a 5x squared minus 5x, right? And so now all I have left to find is h, which is height, which is what we were looking for, okay? So let's try and get this h by itself. So to do that, what do I do with this 5? Right now they're multiplying, what do I do? Okay, I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide by 5. I think I'm actually looking at it, and it looks like they do it slightly different, but I think this will be fine. This is the way we're used to doing it, so we're going to carry on. So that means it's h, okay? Now, how do I deal with this? I'm so used to you guys answering me, and I don't like that you're not here to tell me how to do this. So what I can do here when I have this situation, I'm divided by 5, I can just divide everything on this side by 5, right? So 5x squared divided by 5, you can see there in your book if you want to follow along, is just x squared minus 5x divided by 5 here is just x. Okay, so the height is this. Now this is the one thing I do not, this always frustrates me. Did we actually get a number answer here? No. Could we actually get a number answer? No, because I don't have a number here. I could move it over here and factor, but I don't have one. So we're stuck. And all we have is like an equation as our answer. That's okay. It's totally fine. They do that all the time. If you end up with just an equation, don't be nervous. You're probably doing it exactly the way they want you to do it, okay? So this one, we don't end up with an actual number answer. We just have an equation. All right, let's look at C. The perimeter is of a rectangle is all the sides added together, right? So perimeter is everything added together. So let's see, they gave us the area as 12x. All right, here we go. There's my rectangle. We know that one side is 6, it says, and we know the total area is 12x. Well, does anybody have any idea what to do here? They want to know perimeter. So to get perimeter, we would need to know this right here, right? Which we could call h, right? Wouldn't that be the height of my rectangle? Okay, so I know the total is 12x. So if I go ahead and do base times height equals 12x, would that get me to where I need to be? Okay, so let's look at C. They did area, which is base times height. Remember I said on these ones, we go ahead and put our formula in there. Do I know the area? Sure, it's 12x, so I'm going to replace that there. Whoa, I don't know what that number is. 12x, okay? And do we know the base? 6, okay, so we're going to go ahead and put 6 there. And we're looking for the height. That's our goal, right? Okay, so we need to get rid of the 6. That's with this h, because we want that h by itself. So I'm going to divide by 6. That'll go away. H is going to equal, what's 12 divided by 6? 2x. Okay, again, we don't have an actual number. That's okay. Sometimes we have an equation as our answer. You can just label 2x and know that you're done because that's as far as you can go. You don't have enough information to finish further than that. Okay? All right, so that's example number 1. Parallelograms and rectangles are base times height. Next is triangles. Triangles are, I think you guys are very familiar with these, right? Base times height divided by 2. Remember in these, the actual height is what's important, which is from the top to the bottom, okay? And then I think also in this thing they have trapezoids. Trapezoids look like this, and it's base 1 plus base 2. These are the bases. They just put 1 and 2 so you know you add the 2 different bases together. It doesn't really matter what order you add them together because you can add things in any order and you still get the same answer, right? So base 1 plus base 2, doesn't really matter which one you call base 1 and which one you call base 2. Okay, times the height, which again is the true height from top to bottom, right there. And we're going to divide that whole thing by 2. That's our formula for trapezoids, okay? Base 1 plus base 2 times height divided by 2. In the box on page 678. So let's look at example number 2. The area of a trapezoid in which base 1 is 9, so they told us this was 9, base 2 is 12, and height is 3. Okay, so let's just plug it into our formula. H is 3, base 1 is 9, base 2 is 12, divided by 2. When you put that all into your calculator, you should get an answer of 31.5. Hopefully they'll tell you what to round to. If they don't, just round to the nearest tenth. That should be fine. And we always label, so we were dealing with centimeters, and it's going to be squared. Okay? So that was example 2A. Any questions? I know. I don't like it that I have no idea if you understand what I'm talking about or not. But you can always FaceTime me and ask me questions. So we'll carry on. Let's look at B on page 679. The base of the triangle in which the area is x squared. Okay, so this is a work backwards one because they gave me the area and we have to work backwards to find the part that